My mom married a murderer, and somebody recently wrote me a note about this guy. Thought I'd share it with you. Yes, my mom married a man who murdered his first wife. I mean, they were technically married. She was 16, she was pregnant. El Dorado Springs, Missouri, 1970s, and he bought a gun, shot her through the throat, left her in a ditch to die, and there was a manhunt for him. He got out of prison after 14 years. He married another woman, and then he married my mom. I did a podcast on it. You can go through the files with me as I uncover exactly what happened. The real story. Here he is. His name is J. Terry, well, whatever. He has a lot of names. That's him at 19, just before the murder. And there's Leanne, his wife, which everything, the papers, the appeals records, they all say she was 16. I think she looks a little older. And then when we get to her grave, you find out that she's almost 19. We just don't know. We don't know how that played out. Anyway, here is a note from somebody who knew him. And yeah, I'm convinced all these pieces fit. He writes, I spent quite a bit of time with this man. I must have met him when he just got out of prison. I was a young kid, 8 or 9. He was a friend and co-worker of my dad's. He was working in radio sales. Yep. I knew him as Jay Greenhaw, then Jay Green, then Terry Martin. Yes, he took on my mom's last name there at the end. I understand about being a good grandpa because I loved being around him as a kid. I have to unpack that he was a good grandpa to my kids and why. He writes, I always rode with him if I could. I did, however, keep waiting on you to correct your producer. And I think that is when I gave Jay 3% credit for being a good grandpa. And people were like, ugh, he only gets 3% credit for being a good human at all across the board. What a terrible person type thing. Yeah, I get it. He writes, I didn't see him for a few years. And then around 2002, I ran into him at my work. I spent a couple of years socializing at his house with your mom on Adams. Yep, that's where they lived. He got weird. Yeah, this tracks. Okay, sorry. He got weird and in my face over some religious type stuff. Maybe Wiccan? Don't really remember. I kind of stopped coming around. All he really did was sit around and play video games then. I know he got into my wife's face once, after that, when I wasn't around. We stopped for good then. Your mom was always very nice, generous, and soft-spoken. I definitely heard the generator story a lot for over a decade and how the government was going to pay me to plug my car into the ground. Yes, that's a big part of the story. Go listen. My Mom Married a Murderer, the Toll podcast. He writes, he told me about the murder once when I was a teenager. He told me he caught his wife in bed with another man and shot them both in a heat of rage. And then he told me he burned them with gasoline. He said if he would have used another gallon of gas, the cops told him he would have gotten away with it, as they wouldn't have been able to distinguish any evidence. I believed it at the time. I did some internet research probably about 15 years ago, found the papers and the appeals, some other weird stuff, but I'm not posting that here. I don't want to know, I'll be honest. So you take a murder, a cold-blooded murder, and then you add another person and add a bunch of gasoline and add how the cops said you almost got away with it. Like, so gross. So gross. Yeah, that's him. Yes, sir, you knew him. Yes, sir, you saw the real him and got away. Bah. Anyway, the Toll podcast, My Mom Married a Murderer, if you want to go check it out. Thank you for sharing the Toll. Thanks for listening to the Toll. I appreciate you. Bye.